Dargil Learning Hub welcomes you all to this episode. Now, in today's class, we are going to study about the principle of production of X-rays and how do we produce the X-rays, the properties, and the absorption coefficient of the X-rays. Now, first and foremost, let us study the principle behind the production of the X-rays. As you all know that it was discovered in 1895 by Roentgen, and we came to know that it is an electromagnetic radiation of wavelength 1 angstrom unit. Since its wavelength is 1 angstrom unit, that is 10 to the power of minus 10 meter, it has very high energy because frequency and wavelength are inversely proportional. Therefore, very low wavelength means frequency is higher. Therefore, energy will also be higher because energy will be equal to h nu. And these X-rays could be classified into hard X-rays and soft X-rays. X-rays whose wavelength will be shorter than 1 angstrom unit can be called as hard X-rays, and these X-rays have very high energy. Soft X-rays are wavelength larger than 1 angstrom unit, therefore it will have lesser energy. Therefore, soft X-rays will have lesser energy and hard X-rays will have the higher energy. Now, how these X-rays have been produced? The basic principle involved here is called the Bremsstrahlung collision. That is, imagine a fast moving electron and it collides with the nucleus. When the fast moving electron collides with the nucleus, and this collision you call it to be Bremsstrahlung collision. Now in this process, what happens? The incoming electron will move away from the nucleus with a lesser energy, and the difference between the two electrons will be emitted as the X-ray. Now, explaining further, let us imagine the electron is coming with the energy h nu. That will be equal to E1. Let me take it to be E1. Therefore, E1, capital E1 is the energy of the incoming electron and it collides with the nucleus. Now, this collision we can call it to be Bremsstrahlung collision. What do we mean by Bremsstrahlung collision? That means the electron will not touch the nucleus. Without impact or without touching, without contact, they are interacting with one another. And this type of collision we call it to be the Bremsstrahlung collision. And when they are interacting with one another, the electron deviates from its path with a lesser energy, which may be E2. Now let us calculate the difference between the incoming electron and the outgoing electron, E1 minus E2. This difference in the energy of the electron will be emitted as the radiation, and that is called h nu, and that is the X-ray. So X-ray is a photon of energy h nu, which will be the difference between the two electrons, and in this manner X-ray was produced. And the instrument that he had used for the production of the X-rays is shown in the figure here, and this tube is called the Coolidge tube, and we have a filament and a cathode. This filament is a thorium coated surface which is heated to very high temperature using the battery here, and from this filament electrons will be emitted, and these electrons could be accelerated with a very high tension battery which is kept here, and T is called the target material, which will be of copper, and it will be coated with thorium or tungsten or molybdenum. Therefore, this copper coated material. Why we have taken the copper coated material? Because copper will withstand very high temperature, and this copper anode will be coated with tungsten or molybdenum material, which is coated over it. And to remove the heat, provisions are made here. The cold water will circulate this copper target and hot water will be coming out. Therefore, in this manner, the heat produced in the collision will be removed. The whole arrangement will be kept inside a lead box with a glass window here. Through the glass windows, the X-rays will be coming out. And this will be the construction of the Coolidge tube used by Roentgen for the production of the X-rays. Now, how does it work? Through the battery, when the filament is heated, from the thorium coated surface of the filament, electrons will be emitted, and these electrons will be made to accelerate. It is made to go with a very high speed with a high tension battery of the order of 40 kilovolt. So when you increase the voltage, automatically the velocity of the electron will also increase. It gains more and more energy. So the energy of the electrons coming out from the cathode will be accelerated. Therefore, the energy of the electron will be equal to voltage applied into E. VE is the energy of the electron. With a very high energy, it hits the target here, the molybdenum or tungsten material here. So it hit the nucleus. When it hit the nucleus, most of the electrons will produce heat, and some other electrons will produce Bremsstrahlung collision, and from here X-rays will be produced, and the produced X-ray will come out of the glass tube. Now, what about the maximum energy that could be produced? Will be equal to the h nu maximum must be equal to V into E. Therefore, this much amount of energy will be coming out, and that is called our X-rays. And the quality of the X-ray and the quantity of the X-rays are there. The quality of the X-ray depends upon the accelerating voltage. When the accelerating voltage increases, the energy of the electron also increases. Therefore, the quality is determined by the voltage that we are supplying, and these X-rays are called hard X-rays because the energy is very high. Therefore, they will have very short wavelength. The quantity of the X-ray depends upon the filament current. How many electrons are produced? The number of electrons produced depends upon the current sent to the filament, and that shows the intensity. Therefore, quantity of the X-ray depends upon the electron current. Now, let us see some of the properties of the X-rays. They are electromagnetic waves of very short wavelength. They travel with very high velocity in straight lines. They are invisible. They undergo reflection, refraction, interference, and polarization, since it is an electromagnetic radiation. They are not deflected by electric and magnetic field. It implies that it has no charge. They penetrate through substance opaque to ordinary light. Say, for example, if I take my hand here, when you send the light, ordinary light, that light will not penetrate my hand. In the back side of my hand, you will have the shadow only. Shadow of my hand you can see. But X-rays will penetrate my hand also. Therefore, we won't see the shadow here. That's why I had written it here. They penetrate through substances opaque to ordinary light. They affect the photographic plates. They produce photoelectrons when fall on certain materials. They ionize the gas through which they pass. But they have destructive effects on living tissue. In a human body, it causes redness of skin, sores, serious injuries to tissues and glands, and they destroy white cells of the blood. And we can see why I have put this image here, X-ray image, the hand image. If it could not penetrate our, they could not penetrate our bones. They can penetrate our flesh, but it could not penetrate our bones. That's why we are seeing the image of the bones here, the shadow of the bones here. So this is only the shadow of the bone, because X-rays could not penetrate the bones. And these are some of the properties of the X-rays. Now we can see another property is called the absorption. X-ray is an electromagnetic radiation, and this electromagnetic radiation, when passes through certain material, the intensity of the X-rays will undergo modification, will be absorbed, the intensity will be reduced, and due to this we can come to the conclusion this electromagnetic energy is interacting with the matter. Now this is an important phenomena in physics. There is an interaction between matter and energy. We know that physics is a branch of science which deals about nature, that is which tells about matter and energy. They are one and the same thing. Matter is not different from energy. One is in one form, other is in the another form. Energy can be converted into matter, and matter could be converted into energy. This is the famous Einstein's mass energy relation. Therefore, the wonders of the physics could be explained by the X-rays. How this energy in one hand, matter on the other hand, when they are interacting, this energy is absorbed by the matter. And what happens then? Three effects are taking place while absorption is taking place. One is photoelectric effect. Another one is Compton effect. Another one is pair production. What is meant by photoelectric effect? When an X-ray photon is allowed to interact with an atom, the high energy photon dislodges the electron in the K shell or L shell or M shell. Therefore, this material, aluminum foil, absorbs the energy and it knocks out one electron outside. One electron is coming out of the material. This is what we call it to be the photoelectric effect. The whole energy is absorbed by the material and one electron is coming out, and this is called the photoelectric effect. And another absorption is this one, Compton effect. What is meant by Compton effect? An X-ray photon with the energy higher than 0.1 mega electron volt is allowed to interact with the free electron of an atom. It gives a part of its energy to the electron, and the intensity of the incident photon decreases. Therefore, the electron will be scattered in one direction and the photon, incident photon, will be scattered in another direction with a lesser energy. So now in the Compton effect, the electrons are scattered with a lesser energy. The X-ray is also scattered. Part of the energy is given to the electron in the outermost orbit, and it moves in another direction with a lesser energy. And this is called the Compton scattering. And if you go for the pair production, an X-ray with much higher energy, which is of the order of 1.02 mega electron volt, will interact with the nucleus itself and it will be annihilated. The nucleus absorbs completely the incoming photon and new matter is produced as positron and electron. Therefore, this is a beautiful example of energy converted into matter. Energy could be converted into matter. We can easily say that matter could be easily converted into energy. Say, for example, if you see the firewood, and if you burn the firewood, before burning it is in the form of a matter. When you burn it, you will have the fire and it produces heat. Therefore, now in this case, matter is converted into energy. But how energy could be converted into matter, this pair production gives you a beautiful narration for this conversion. So now here the X-ray photon is absorbed by the nucleus and positron and electron pair is produced, which is in the form of a matter. This is called the pair production, and these are the three absorption phenomena of the X-rays. Now we can study something about the absorption coefficient. What is meant by absorption coefficient? Say for example you have one material, and this material have the thickness dx. Let us imagine. Let I be the intensity of the monochromatic X-ray beam. When it passes through the thickness, what happens there is it will be absorbed. The rate of decrease of intensity will be directly proportional to the intensity of the monochromatic beam. Therefore, it is written as minus di by dx, rate of decrease of intensity with respect to the distance is directly proportional to the intensity of the material, intensity of the X-rays. Taking the proportionality, putting equal to sign, you have one constant, and this constant you call it to be the absorption coefficient. Mu is called the absorption coefficient. Therefore, minus the di by dx will be equal to mu I. If you rearrange and integrate, integral I0 to I di by I will be equal to 0 to x mu dx with a negative sign. And finally, if you integrate this, you get it to be I will be equal to I0 into e to the power of minus mu x. This equation is called the Lambert-Beer rule for the absorption coefficient. If you draw this graph, I equal to I0 into e to the power of minus mu x, it will be as shown in the figure. If the I is maximum at x equal to 0, and as the X-ray penetrates into the material, the intensity decreases exponentially. And this relation you call it to be the Lambert-Beer's law for the absorption of X-rays. Suppose if mu x equal to 1, what happens? Now this in this equation we substitute I equal to I0 into e to the power of minus 1. Therefore, what happens? I equal to I0 by E. I equal to I0 into e to the power of minus 1, and that is I equal to I0 into E. Therefore, we take a condition that mu x equal to 1. If mu x equal to 1, mu equal to 1 by x. So from here we can define the absorption coefficient mu equal to 1 by x, reciprocal of the thickness x. So what is absorption coefficient? It is the reciprocal of the thickness x of the material, at which the intensity falls 1 by e of the original value, where I0 is the original intensity and I is the present intensity at a distance x. Therefore, absorption coefficient is defined as the reciprocal of the thickness of the material, at which the intensity falls 1 by e of the original value. And this from here, now let us study what are the factors which affects the absorption coefficient. Absorption coefficient will be affected by two parameters. One is the wavelength, another one is the nature of the material. One is the wavelength, another one is the nature of the material, or I can say the density of the material. In the first case, experimentally it was found that absorption coefficient is directly proportional to lambda cube. So from this we can easily understand an X-ray having very long wavelength could be absorbed more. When I say very long wavelength means wavelength is long, therefore energy will be very low. Therefore, this is the point that we are observing here. Therefore, long wavelength are absorbed more than short wavelength X-rays. Therefore, the long wavelength are called the soft X-rays, and short wavelength X-rays are called the hard X-rays. And similarly, the second point is, it is also found that the dense materials such as lead are more effective absorbers than light materials. So lead has high density. If we take aluminum has low density. Therefore, lead will be the more absorber than aluminum. So these are the two parameters which affects the absorption coefficient. And here we can introduce another concept, what is called as the absorption edges. What is meant by an absorption edge? From the graph shown in the top corner of the right hand side, you can see a graph is drawn between the wavelength and the absorption coefficient. That is, mu is directly proportional to lambda cube. That equation is plotted here, and the graph is shown as shown here. Now, if you see the graph, as the wavelength at a low wavelength, absorption will be very high. At a low wavelength, absorption will be very high. And as the wavelength increases, absorption also slowly increases. And at a particular point, at a particular wavelength, this X-ray has the capacity or energy to knock down the electron, 1s electron. Therefore, the 1s electron, that is the K shell electron, will be knocked down, and that comes out, and all of a sudden the absorption coefficient all of a sudden decreases. And then once again, as the wavelength increases, once again the absorption coefficient increases, and so on. And if you see the bottom graph, once again it reaches a particular point at which the energy is enough to knock down the L electron. L orbital electron, 2s electron could be easily knocked down here, and once again the absorption coefficient decreases. And this is called the L absorption edge. The first one is called the K absorption edge. Therefore, as the wavelength increases, the absorption coefficient also goes like this. And we have K absorption edge, L absorption edge. Similarly, we will have M absorption edge also. Now, if we carefully analyze very deeper into the absorption edges, K absorption will also have three edges. One is K alpha, K beta, and K gamma. Now, if you see the graph in the innermost slide, we have for a copper target or for the molybdenum target, we have K gamma, K beta, and K alpha. The graph. Similarly, for the zirconium target also, we have another edge, K alpha edge. Now, if we take the molybdenum target, we have three lines. If we take copper also, we have three lines, K gamma, K beta, and K alpha. But for experimental purpose, we are in need of only K alpha line. Other lines are not needed for experiments. So what to do? Therefore, we place a nickel in between the two. Nickel K alpha absorption edge will lie between the absorption edge of K beta and K alpha lines of copper or molybdenum. Therefore, nickel will absorb this thing, and K alpha line of copper alone or molybdenum target alone will be coming out, and this could be used for X-ray experiments. So in this manner, we can filter out the monochromatic X-rays from this using the absorption edges. So my dear students, hope you would have understood the basic principle in the production of X-rays and what is the mechanism in the production of X-rays, properties, and the absorption coefficient. Thank you.
இந்த வீடியோ உங்களுக்கு பிடிச்சிருந்ததுன்னா லைக் பண்ணுங்கள், ஷேர் பண்ணுங்கள். இதே மாதிரி நிறைய வீடியோஸ் பார்க்கணுன்னா டார்ஜில் லேர்னிங் ஹப்பை சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணுங்கள். மறக்காமல் அந்த பெல் ஐக்கானையும் கிளிக் பண்ணுங்கள். தேங்க்யூ.